All right, let's get all mic'd up and everything. My goodness, you look like a clown version of Axl Rose. I look like a clown version of Axl Rose. Is that what you said? Oh, okay. Take me down to the party city where the costumes cheap and the wigs are shitty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah. What's happening, Captain? What's new, kangaroos? It's your dandy, Candy. And this right here is Aviation Gin with ginger ale, but that's not what we're talking about today. now, Drinking Demons, last time we talked on the previous video, I brought up that we used to do a lot more DIY stuff on this channel versus drinking stuff. And I know that we've been talking about getting back to doing DIY content. And well, right now would be the best time to start. So today, on this video, we're going to be showing y'all how we put together this neat little rooftop display that we have for our jokerized Batmans. Oh, what a splendid idea! Aha! Now, I'm sure it was pretty obvious if you've ever watched any of our videos, and you've probably noticed we have a lot of clutter in the background, that I am a bit of a toy collector. So what, you like to play with them or something? It's not so much that I don't really like play with them or anything like that. It's more or less I like to collect characters that I like. Or things that remind me of happy moments in my childhood, things like that. Favorite fictional characters and stuff. And I like to pose them, and I especially in particular like to make displays to put them in, make it look kind of cool, like a little thing there. Of course, I don't collect as much as I used to because, well, all sorts of reasons. Now, we needed to start by making panels for our display that we would then glue together. Now, what we used for this was this right here, which is a thin sheet of ready board foam board. And we basically drew out the bricks on there with a mechanical pencil and a ruler, measuring them out to roughly the size of our character's hand, because we want the bricks to be in scale with them. And a brick is you're able to hold a brick in your hand. So that's what we went off of for our sizing for the bricks. With all of the bricks drawn out on our panels, we then cut each panel out and then scored over those brick lines that we drew with an X-Acto knife so we could create grooves. Once we've scored out all of our lines, we then follow back over it with a blunt object. We went with a stylus pen to basically create a grout, to texturize a grout in there. We then went back over and peeled off the covering, the paper covering over the foam board. We then crumpled up an aluminum ball and rolled it across the surface of it to create a porous-like texture across our bricks. Now, because of how thin and flimsy that foam board is, we needed to sturdy it up a bit. So what we then did was created a duplicate set of panels out of cardboard that we glued those pieces on top of and let sit overnight so that they'd stick together. Once that was done, we then proceeded to hot glue the panels together, moving it on to our next step, which is preparing it for paint. So tell me, why don't you like to collect toys anymore anyway? Well, there's a lot of them. One of them, I'm more partial to 1/18 scale, which is the ones that are like 3.5 to 4 inches, because they're smaller. You can build a lot more in a smaller space with them. But also, you just run out of space with everything being in hero scale, 6 to 7 inch figures. And of course, the big issue that a lot of collectors and crafters, a lot of collectors are facing is just the price increases have gotten way too much. I get the tariff part, I get that. But even before the tariff game and all that shit started playing around, you had Hasbro and Mattel raising the prices on their shit, trying to claim that it had to do with petroleum, because plastic's made out of petroleum. And it's gotten to where it's like almost $30 now for just a standard G.I. Joe figure. These McFarlane guys, they're at least almost $30 as well. $30 for an action figure is a little ridiculous to ask. It really honestly is. Also, just to be real, toy collecting's kind of boring nowadays. It's like they keep delving back into the 80s franchises whenever it comes to putting shit out on the shelves. And I hate to break it to you, but most people that grew up with those toys in the 80s, they should be getting their prostate checked right now rather than going down to the toy section at Wally World. Let's be real. Nothing new or interesting It's just the same shit over and over again. You even got people literally going out of their way to just do retro collections, which are just recasts of the old shit that they already put out before, but with a higher price tag. And again, it all comes back down to that price tag. It's just getting too expensive, and just not enough out there to really want to keep collecting. I mean, there's a couple of figures I still want to grab here and there, but the thrill's gone, essentially. The thrill is gone? The thrill is gone. Kendra, you need to look into the camera more. You're doing that thing again. Am I looking at myself again rather than pointing to where the people watching the video should be looking at? Let me just fix that. Okay, so that's what I need to be looking at. All right, cool. Now, before we could begin applying our paints, because it is foam board, we have to apply a layer over it. So what we did was we applied a tinted layer of Mod Podge over the entirety of the surface. This is actually something that I learned how to do by watching Black Magic Craft, which is a really great channel that teaches you how to make awesome displays for like Dungeons and Dragons, Warhammer, and stuff like that. Really epic stuff that guy makes. And I learned a lot watching his channel whenever it comes to making my own stuff for figure displays. So shout out to Black Magic Craft. Once that layer had dried once the tinted Mod Podge had dried, it was onto our base coat of paint. We went with Shipyard Blue for our main color that we're using for this. And the reason why I went with a dark blue rather than like a dark gray is because we're dealing with comic book characters here. I thought it would be kind of neat for it to have colors that are more inspired by like comic book colors, the way you would see buildings look in there, where it's like dark shades of purple or blue or green. And I felt that because they're all jokerized characters, there's already enough purple in the entirety. There's already enough purple in the display, so we went with blue for our base color. For
what do you think about the McFarlane line?
I like it, but I like it for the reasons I don't think they intended for people to like it for. I don't like it. Let me explain. I don't really like it for the actual figures themselves. I mean, Todd McFarlane back in the 90s and the 2000s was a legend when it came to toy collecting. I mean, honestly, he's one of my favorite artists of all time. Top 3 whenever it comes to Spider-Man, right next to Eric Larson and Mark Bagley. Amazing artist, incredible businessman. My hat, I'm not taking my hat off, but if I did, theoretically, my hat would be off to you whenever it comes to that. And when he started doing toys in the 90s with his Spawn line, he really did change the game a lot when it came to articulation, when it came to sculpting, and when it came to the materials, content of things being made. He really did a lot of epic stuff and changed a lot of stuff when it came to how toys came across in the 90s into the 2000s, and really opened up the adult collector market. So he's absolutely a huge contribution to toy collecting. That being said, the quality of Todd McFarlane stuff really went downhill around the 2010s, and he's kind of come back a little bit with the Mortal Kombat line, and he's increased his articulation. He's gotten better at the sculpting, but there's still a lot of sloppiness to the way that he does the figures. The joints are very, very gaudy. He's still using pin style joints when you've got other companies like Mattel and Hasbro are doing pinless joints. He uses a lot of parts over and over and over again, and some of the sculpting is just so silly. My favorite thing in particular of the McFarlane line is all of the ridiculous head sculpts that they have for the various versions of Superman. There is a lot of key meme potential there that it's just going untapped. And I'm just hoping one day somebody a little more creative can figure out how to get out there. So I like the McFarlane line, but not because of the McFarlane line. I like it because it's kind of goofy. One of the other issues that I have with the McFarlane DC Multiverse line is that he's kind of got the same problem that Kenner had back in the 90s when it came to the DC license. And that is, he has way too many Batman to other figures in his lineup. He's falling into the same problem that Kenner had. See, like back in the 90s, Kenner had the license for DC Comics, and in particular Batman, because Batman was very popular in the 90s. But even within the Batman line itself, almost every wave was like 4 to 5 different versions of Batman, and maybe occasionally a bad guy or a sidekick. There was an overabundance of Batmans to the point where it was kind of like, oops, all Batmans. And yeah, even though he's done other characters, including some deep cut characters and all that stuff, the majority of the DC Multiverse line has essentially just been, oops, all Batmans. So that's a big issue too. It's like, how many Batman figures do you need? I'm sure there's somebody out there saying, I need all of them. But to most collectors, they're only going to grab a couple of Batmans they think look kind of cool. They ain't going to get a whole entire library of one fucking character. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like, even his movie lines that he would do for the DC movies were just the characters he saw in the first trailer. And it was kind of pointless to get the waves because the Build-A-Figure for the wave he sold separately eventually anyway. So it's kind of pointless to do that. Now, I don't want to be too rude because we live in the same state and Todd could probably kick my ass. But he does have some neat things that he's done with the line as well. Like, he's got the black and white repaints of the characters, which is just black and white. The sketch editions, which is, they look like sketches. The patina versions where they look like statues. And my personal favorite is the jokerized ones where they have really ridiculous Joker palettes. Why do you like the jokerized figures? Is it a clown thing? I just think they're neat. Joker is not even one of my. I mean, Joker's not even my favorite Batman. He's in my top 5, sure, but he's not my favorite Batman. I just think the color palette is interesting, and the concept of jokerized Batman is just entertaining to me. I know most of these are not. I know that this one here in the middle is not a jokerized one. That's the pre-Batman Who Laughs Earth, whatever that was. That I didn't read Dark Knight's Metal. It's a little too edgelord for me. But I do love the concept of jokerized. Batman. I just think it's very campy and fun, very neat color palette. So that's why I got it on there.
So if it isn't Joker, who is your favorite Batman villain?
Who is my favorite Batman villain right now? Professor Pig is my favorite one right now.
Professor Pig?
Oh, that's a great choice.
What the dick is a Professor Pig?
Oh, Professor Pig is this really crazy psychotic plastic surgeon. He's kind of like Ed Gein in a Halloween costume. He's really wild. He likes to surgically alter his victims into these things called Dollatrons. It's crazy.
Jeez. Oh dear.
Professor Pig's fucking wild. Once our base coat of paint has dried, we then proceeded to dry brush on a lighter shade of blue. I want to say we used cotton blue. I could be wrong on that. As well as a lilac or lavender colored flash metallic paint to give the bricks a nice sheeniness to them. Because bricks do have a bit of a shininess to them. It's hard to explain. It makes them look more brick-like. Like, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. And then followed that up with a dry brushing of pewter gray to actually kind of make it look a little more toned down in its colors before adding a tinted wash of green and a tinted wash of black to bring back out some of that detail that was lost in the painting process. Now, the way that we make our tint is very simple. It's basically a couple of squirts of whatever color you want it to be. For the green one, we went with different shades of green. For the black one, we went with black paint, acrylic paint, mixed in with a lot of water and a dash of dish soap. You want to put the dish soap in last. You don't want to shake it up because then it's going to get sudsy. You mix it together and then you pour it over the surface, brushing in to all the nooks and crannies, and then letting it dry and dabbing off the excess that you don't want on there. That's how we do the tints. Once the paint had dried, we then covered over the rooftops with black grip tape, which is supposed to kind of simulate a tarred rooftop surface, but also because it's grip tape helps the characters with staying in their pose more securely because these figures are a pain in the ass to pose. Finishing it off by gluing down some borders across the edges of the top and the platforms. That is basically just a chunk of XPS foam board we cut to shape, covered over with blodge and pewter gray and a couple of hits of silver, and finishing it off with this neat little Grim Reaper statue that we made by taking apart a cheap little dollar skeleton that we bought at Wally World so we could reset the arms into a praying position, and then covering and sculpting it over with foam board, painting it to the color we wanted. And there you have it. Now, originally I was going to have it on one of the interior parts of the Detolf shelf that we have here, because I really like my Detolf shelf, Detolf, however the fuck it's pronounced. But I decided to make it the topper piece. And I think I may go back in later and add on like a little, maybe dome that bit right there, add some static city buildings in the background or something, just something to make it a little more pop. But for right now, I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out. Now, if you didn't know, I am a bit of an artist, and I do have myself an Etsy shop. Etsy.com/shop/candy-dandy-art. Aha! Well, there you go. And now, unfortunately, we don't have any displays or dioramas in our shop at the moment. It's mostly paintings and prints that we have in our shop. And I don't really usually put displays and dioramas in there. It's more or less just if somebody's interested in something, they can give me a shout out, and I'll see about making it for them as a commission or something like that. But I do have an interest in wanting to do more of these maker videos and making some more dioramas and displays. So if you have any ideas for dioramas or displays you'd like to see me make a video about, leave it in the comments section. And also, if you feel like leaving a tip helping out the channel, because we can certainly use it, Venmo link down there. Give us a tip if you like. And also, I just want to say, things are really hectic right now. We got a lot going on. A lot of stuff is going on. The last few months have been absolute nightmare fuel. They really have. And I don't know when the next time is going to be that I'm going to be able to make a video. I want to get back to doing them more regularly for sure. But there's just far more things going on in the real world, responsibility-wise, that I have to take care of. And it's very frustrating. So I was glad to be able to put this video together, even though it's a hot mess. I don't know when the next time I'm going to do a video is going to be, but I want to still do them as I can, if I still can. But with that being said, this has been Candy Dandy. Thank you for your time. And I'll see you around. Hope you have a good one. Hopefully soon.